Go ahead and hit broadcast right now.
Okay, I would like to call to order the City Council meeting, City of Maplewood, for Tuesday, April 14th. And as I did before, we're going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty,
liberty,
justice.
and justice for all. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Fockingham,
Here.
Mayor Greenberg,
Here.
Councilmember Pardini,
here.
Councilmember Phillips,
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Mayor Greenberg, a quorum is present.
Thank you. Need a motion to excuse Councilman Crater.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilperson Crater is excused. Item number 5 is the approval of the council agenda.
Mayor,
Motion.
before you do that, if I may interrupt.
Oh, yes.
Pardon me, but I just wanted the record to reflect that under section 610.015 of the Missouri Sunshine Law, members of the city council who are not physically present in the council chambers can't participate and vote on all matters when an emergency exists, and the nature of the emergency must be stated in the minutes. So I'm asking the minutes to reflect that the United States is in a state of emergency due to the coronavirus. Our governor, as well as our county executive, have issued stay-at-home orders. And as a result of that, we are all participating in this meeting via Zoom remotely. So therefore, the members of the city council are not participating in the meeting, are participating in the meeting electronically and are not at the council chambers, but they can, of course, vote on all matters because of this emergency.
Thank you. And for the hundreds, if not thousands of people that are watching us tonight, that was our city attorney, John Hessel. Thank you. And we'll move on to the approval of the council agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor? Oh, any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. Item number 6 is our public forum.
Mayor
And-
Greenberg, I hate to let you down, but we do not have 1 million people watching us right now. You have 4 people, and I'm going to go through. The first is Carla DeRoos. I'm going to go ahead and click allow to talk to see if Carla has anything to say. Carla, can you hear us?
I can.
Hi.
I do not have anything for you at this moment.
Okay, thank you. We're going to have a second public forum. If something changes, we'll check back in. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Dessa Summerside. Dessa, just a second. I got to unmute her.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to go to Haley, if that's okay. I'm going to see if Haley has anything. Or Hallie?
Hi, I'm just here taking notes for the Mid-County Chamber of Commerce. I'm a board member and representing them tonight.
We're welcome tonight.
Thank you. And now I'm going to go to John Eric Hansen. Mr. Hansen, do you have anything? Hit unmute.
Hello, everybody. No, I do not have anything right now. Just
Okay.
enjoying the sunset with my wife, Carla, and our dog and 4 ducks in the backyard watching you guys.
Well, pet your dog for me, and we will see. We'll have a second forum if you guys need anything.
Okay. Then item number 7 are announcements.
Okay, I do have a few. I just wanted to announce that Springfest has been postponed. There's no date yet for that. Taste of Maplewood, that one has been rescheduled for June 20th. Schlafly's Art Outside has been moved to September 4th through the 6th. And that is it.
Okay. Are there any other announcements?
We have our yard waste pickup is tomorrow, and that is a 1-day pickup, correct, Anthony?
Correct.
So the And can you remind us what times they drop off and pick up the dumpsters?
Yes, they'll be able to drop off yard waste only from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Thank you.
And
you
that's at
don't
the
need
Aquatic
tags.
Center.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's at the Maplewood Family Aquatic Center, the parking lot.
And you don't have to have tags on your stuff. Is that correct as well?
That's correct, Councilmember Schmidt. No tags are required.
Okay. If there aren't any other announcements, then we need to approve the March 10th, 2020 and the March 24th City Council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting minutes have been approved for those two dates. Anthony, item number 9, please.
Bill 6138, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, amending Ordinance 5573 as amended, Section 56-498, General Provisions, subsection 1 of the City Code to allow shared parking agreements on parcels of land that are not under common ownership.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
I had a question. So I noted that, maybe I'm not understanding it correctly, but it seemed like the language that was taken out in the first paragraph, it said an alternate location as will adequately serve the public interest. Do we maybe still need an alternative location? Because you could potentially have something that doesn't meet that guideline, but is not necessarily a shared space, couldn't you? Like this would be an example of an alternative location, but is it possible to have more than one?
Are you on page 9?
Yeah, so in subsection 1 of the ordinance, like there was language taken out that's not reflected. It did say the administrator may authorize an alternative or alternate location as will adequately serve the public interest. I was just curious.
I'm looking at, you're looking at the memorandum?
Yeah, and so if you go online, the code online shows there was before, I see as will adequately serve the public interest is still in there, but before that it said an alternate location, or was it alternative? I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't read my writing, sorry.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
All right. Yeah, no, you're fine. I'll find it here too.
No, as will adequately serve the public interest?
My point being that a shared parking agreement seems like it's just one example of an alternative. You could have more than just that, so that it makes sense to leave in the alternative location. This seems to be limiting it as the only alternative being a shared parking space. Was that a shared parking agreement?
Are you getting that language from something online or from?
Yeah, so if you go to this section online, and I don't think we've changed this since I've been here, so I don't think it's a matter of it not being updated. All right, let me go. Is it section? All right, what?
I'm just making sure, Jenny, I'm keeping the language in there that says as will adequately serve the public interest.
Yeah, but before that, it said an alternative location that will adequately serve the public interest. And so my point, you've taken out an alternative location and replaced it only with a shared parking agreement.
I cut and pasted that. The only thing I could think of is maybe I just didn't grab that when I cut and pasted. I wasn't trying to remove any other language.
No, I'm not saying you were. I'm just pointing out that maybe we still want that language.
Yeah, I'll go through and look at that when I have access, because I don't want to go to a different browser right now.
Right.
I don't have the code in front of me. But if it's okay with you, I'll go through and make sure that's added.
Yeah.
Before we read the and if I have a question, I'll call you.
Okay.
there was no intent to remove anything other than what I struck.
Oh, no, I know. And I just didn't want to inadvertently remove other possible scenarios from it and seem like we'd be limiting ourselves more.
It
Yeah.
looks like on the ordinance part, the language is there, does it not? A couple pages later, if you actually read the ordinance.
Oh, is it on there?
It's there either. Where is that?
Let's see. No, it's not there either.
Oh, no,
So
you're
if you go online, it said, so the part after the semicolon, well, let's go down a little. It said the zoning administrator may, online what it currently reads is the zoning administrator may authorize an alternative location as will adequately serve the public interest.
Oh, are you talking about the sentence before item number 1?
Well, it's
Yeah, that's not being changed. Only subsection 1 is being changed, Jenny. I think that's the confusion. I didn't.
that is subsection 1.
That's above subsection 1.
No, it's not. It's in, I mean, above
Okay, I'm not
subsection
looking at it.
1, it says the following general provision shall apply to all parking, standing, and loading space.
And then below that, does it say subsection 1?
Yeah, and that's what it says, location of parking or loading space, and that's what's
Okay.
where it's
So
missing.
you're looking at the language before the actual item that says subsection 1. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right.
No, I'm looking at subsection 1.
I'll look at it, and if there's something
Yes.
in there, I'll keep it in there, and we'll have it. We'll make sure to include that.
It just seems like this is an example of a alternative location, and so you would like to have other options, I would think. There may be another option besides a shared parking agreement that may fit this.
So in general, though, the concept of not requiring parking only at the location of the business on site, I assume that we're all in agreement that that's, if there are alternative arrangements, that would be a good thing. Would that be correct?
Yes.
And
Okay.
I had a couple more, but Eleanor, go ahead.
I had, I think Anthony and I tried to connect earlier today and weren't able to make it happen. My fault. On the, so I was trying to understand, is this essentially, it's allowing shared, my read of it was that it was allowing shared parking on land that is not common ownership.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's actually the whole point of a shared parking agreement is, you know, if you are a business owner who's got not enough parking, and to use AutoZone as a good example, you've got a business right across the street that's got more than adequate for parking. They're under the same ownership. So then this would allow the tattoo place, All-Star Tattoo, the ability to negotiate an agreement, but unless they own that lot the way the language is currently written, they couldn't do so.
Okay, so it's really about releasing or allowing that non-common ownership piece
Correct.
to make this happen. Okay.
And then if for some reason that parking is no longer available, then the owner of the business would be required to provide at that time to meet the off-street parking requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, and that's requiring the businesses to submit, I think, annually?
Well, so let's say AutoZone didn't have the parking, I couldn't approve it. So what I'm basically saying is it has to be there. There has to be a surplus for any sharing to go on. And then
Okay.
the person that would be required, in this case, to use this example because it's a good one, is the All-Star Tattoo annually would need to submit paperwork showing that they have a valid shared parking agreement.
So I had a question about that because it's based on this, the zoning administrator has to approve it already. So that was my question. It seemed like there already was a mechanism for approving it, so you maybe would have that. So I was a little confused by that.
Well, I would review that and see if there's parking available. If there's parking available,
Okay.
That's fine. And to be honest with you, there are shared parking agreements all over town right now, but the city's never been required to even be in the middle of those. But with this conditional use ordinance, we are actually approving an ordinance that we want to look at parking as an impact. And that's why I wanted that language in this code. But a lot of the churches around town share parking. Musylvania's got extra lots. There's a lot of
Right.
it now.
So this language means the zone in subsection 1. It just means the zoning administrator authorizes. Well, it says they authorize a shared parking agreement. You're just authorizing it generally, or you're authorizing a specific one. I just have my lawyer hat on. I'm just kind of thinking
No,
about.
that's fine. It says the zoning administrator may authorize
Right.
parking agreement to
Right.
allow parking on different that are not under. However, I can only authorize it provided it meets the following criteria. That's A through E, and one of those criteria are there's adequate parking to share.
Right. And so I guess I'm just thinking from a process standpoint, if I come to you to get it approved anyway, you have a copy of it. So, but you're also saying I have to submit it again when I do my business license. Like
Every
that's
year. Yeah, every year, and All Star Tattoo would need to do that because the concern is they get a shared parking agreement, it goes away. The next thing you know, they're parking all up
okay.
on the street. And this is my hook to say, hey, you got to do that. And if they don't do that, then they would need to build the lot they initially submitted.
So your initial approval is only, is it 1 year? I mean, they don't have to renew it with you. I guess that's my question is that you would be approving it, so you would know about it, but is it approval?
It would be within in our business license section. We have the ability in our software to flag stuff to make sure we have that. And we would have that flag that's a submission requirement.
I think that there's two separate things, Jenny. I think one is approving that there's ample parking. And then the separate one is to approve that the two businesses have an agreement.
Well, that was my question because the way this reads, the first one, which you're saying is approving whether they have ample parking, the way it reads is that you have to approve their actual agreement. So that was my question.
Yeah, so like, let's say AutoZone changes hands and they build out and they have some completely new use that has a much higher parking demand. At that point in time, I wouldn't approve All-Star Tattoos if they don't have the extra parking. So it could change, which is why you want to do it annually. So I would do that approval at that point. The city clerk would get the business license, would come in, and I would sign off on it every year, and that would be put in the file of All-Star Tattoo.
I can, Jenny. Typically what happens is you have two private parties who are entering into the shared parking agreement. And then the city has to verify that that's a reasonable agreement, that therefore, under all these criteria, it's acceptable to the city based upon those things. And then because it's a private agreement, and I don't mean this to sound nefarious or anything, but people can then terminate that agreement or otherwise modify that agreement without the city knowing about it. So this is a process where every year they can just validate and verify that that agreement is still in place. So it hasn't expired.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I'm just clarifying that once. So what you're saying is once you sign off on that, then okay, that's I get it. I
It would be good. It would be good until the following business license is due.
Right.
Which would be June 30th.
And then you would also have to reapprove their agreement. So it's
correct.
Making them do the same thing twice, but that's fine. That's fine. My next
Not
point.
really reapproving it's just validating the agreement is still in place.
Right. It seems like subsection 1 and E are the same thing, but that's whatever. So then in A, my other thing was, I didn't know if it seemed a little unclear what a surplus, should be a surplus of available parking spaces in the proposed. It just seemed a little unclear, but I don't know, I guess reading it, because you could seemingly have a situation where you don't just have a shared parking agreement. So, oh, never mind. Maybe that makes more sense then.
Well, that's why I referenced the actual section of the city code. I said a surplus as per those sections of the city code. You know, different uses have different parking requirements. Restaurants based on the number of retail based on square footage. So there's a number of varieties, but basically I'm just referencing the parking section there.
So Anthony, with regards to AutoZone in this particular case, do they they have more off-street parking spaces than they're required by the zoning ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, and the number of spaces that they have available then is satisfies the off-street parking for the tattoo establishment, which would also include the on-street on the ones that they have on site that are off-street.
Yes.
Okay, then
And Councilmember Schmidt, I apologize. I pulled up that code. I see what you're talking about. I'll add that language. I had to pull it up on my phone. I was
Yeah.
following it. I'm sorry. I'll definitely make sure.
Oh, that's
It
fine.
was a cut and pasting error. I'll get that right.
Understood.
okay. So, are there any other questions or comments regarding this this parking issue?
Could we, I just have a question regarding the anticipation of their additional paved parking. Do we know, I noticed, I saw a lot of survey signs on that lot recently.
We actually, I had another neighbor ask about that. I believe it's just some future utility work. We don't have any permits for that. I actually just checked that yesterday. I had another one of your neighbors ask me what those survey, they're like little blue flags.
Yeah.
You're looking for. Yeah, we don't have any permits for that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll let
So-
you know when I find out.
Yeah. So at this point, we don't anticipate that they're going to start building a lot right away, that this is sort of to mitigate the need for that.
Yes, and
that additional lot.
they are going to redo their existing lot, but they're not going to add to that at this point.
Okay. And if they, once they start sort of tearing up the grass and doing potential construction there, does that go through P&Z or Design and Review Board, or how does that work for them to move forward?
No, they would be able to, as long as they're within the code, they would be able to. And as part of the P&Z application, I've shown the plan showing the future parking. As long as they meet the code, they would be fine. They would go through the planning department. We would approve that if they wanted to add parking.
Okay. Yeah, just curious if they would need to add additional fencing or landscaping or whatever.
They absolutely would. They would need to put on the north side, they would need a 10-foot transitional yard buffer, which would include a minimum 6-foot high site-proof fence along with landscaping. And within our parking section of the city code, it gives me the ability to require they get a landscape architect submit plans to me. And then we have a landscape architect we contract out with land design services, Patrick Warzer. I would send those to him and get his comments, and the petitioner would be, have to pay for that review. It's all in our
Okay.
parking requirements of the code. And so they would have to do that.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I did. Something I thought about. So is this, do you have to cross the street to get from the auto zone to this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything, in improving this that we should do to make that crossing any safer, or I'm just throwing that out there?
It's a pretty low traffic intersection.
That whole intersection was just recently, all the sidewalks and ADA access ramps all through Big Bend and Maplewood were probably improved within the last 2 years by the county. So there's no issues there.
Would it behoove us to put sort of the double white line at so I'm just curious.
This is on Woodland, do you mean?
Yeah.
Just a thought I had.
I think it's another reason that
additional-
it should be reviewed by the zoning administrator. Yeah, if there is a situation where it might be a dangerous street crossing, then at that point he can make a stipulation. He or she can make a stipulation with regards to making that safer.
And I think Councilmember Phillips probably knows that intersection more than anybody. That is a very low traffic area. I don't really have concerns right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that fair to say, Sandy, Councilmember?
Yeah.
That's not very much traffic there.
Yeah, there's nothing because Woodland does not bisect Big Bend. It ends at Big Bend. So, so there's a little less traffic there than you would expect.
You don't have people running across Big Bend, darting across at a high rate of speed right there at that that crossing point.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Second reading, please.
Bill 6138, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, amending ordinance 5573 as amended, section 56-498, general provisions, subsection 1 of the city code to allow shared parking agreements on parcels of land that are not under common ownership.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion will move on to its third and final reading at the next meeting. Item number 10, please.
Bill 6139, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, amending a conditional use ordinance number 5889 to allow All Star Tattoo to enter into a shared parking agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Second reading, please.
Bill 6139, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, amending conditional use ordinance number 5889 to allow All Star Tattoo to enter into a shared parking agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion will move on to its third and final reading at the next meeting. Item number 11, please.
Bill 6140, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing a planned unit development district and approving a preliminary development plan and a final development plan for approximately 2.47 acres of land at 72 Southwest Avenue.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion, a second. I have a couple questions here. One is, from what I could gather, this is mainly for the purpose of I should say, exceeding the signage requirements for that zoning designation.
Fair to say, it's obviously a large building, and there's 3 separate components to that building. You've got your retail components, you've got your brewing operations, and your restaurant operations. And right now, the way the code is written, it doesn't allow for a business to distinguish between various entities. So it's going to allow Mr. Schlafly to be a little bit more creative with the signage. He does plan on adding additional, like an outdoor area. He's trying to make it more family friendly. That's not part of this application, but he does intend to come back and amend this. He was hoping to have that for this meeting, but with these COVID issues, he said he's behind. He told the Planning Commission, but I believe this will get him started on a lot of the cosmetic changes he's making to the site, as well as signage, a graphics package, which would have to be approved by the Design and Review Board. And I believe in the near future, he's planning on creating kind of an outdoor, kind of like a touch garden, kind of an area where parents that bring their families up right outside the beer garden on the north side, they could essentially, their kids could have something to do. It's not necessarily a play area, but he's trying to make it a little bit more family friendly. So he's planning, he was hoping to have that. I even called him. I said, do you want to wait? He said no, because he wants to get started on these signage and interior modifications. But when he gets me his final development plan, he's going to obviously have to amend that if he creates this outside area and makes any major changes, especially if he's dealing with.
So for a PUD, you said that the signage and graphics package has to be approved by Design and Review Board.
Yes.
Are there any other approvals that are required?
Not with what he's proposing right now, but again, he's just talking about cosmetic changes to the structure, interior, exterior, and some signage. In the future, if he does anything outside and starts adding within the parking lot, possibly taking parking away, that would have to go back before the Zoning Commission and to the City Council, because we need to amend this
The
ordinance,
PUD, yeah.
PUD, and in the final development plan.
Okay. Are there other questions?
I had one. So, just so I understand generally, before it was just what he had there was just this ordinance 5010, and this is a little different. It just allows him a little more flexibility that wasn't allowed before with specific to the signage.
The PUD does definitely allow additional flexibility. And one question people have that aren't familiar with PUDs is, hey, why doesn't everybody do a PUD?
Right.
Our requirements, the minimum PUD requirements are 1 acre for commercial, and for residential, 25,000 square feet. So it does allow some flexibility within for Mr. Schlafly, and again, is specifically signage. I don't know what he's going to totally propose. I do know what I told you is basically what he said to me. I don't know that would require a PUD, but because it is a PUD, it's got a final development plan that has to be recorded. So if he's making changes to that, he would have to come back
Okay.
as council for that reason.
So anything different from what's in here now, he would have to come back and.
Yes.
And then I noticed in the original ordinance, it said all permitted land uses in the community business district. And then this one says in the arterial. And is that just because you listed out those other things, or I just wasn't?
No, where are you looking? I think.
So in the ordinance attached after the PUD, it said in subsection, or in section A, it said, number 1, all permitted land uses in the CB community business district.
You caught me in another typo. That is should be CB. That's the underlying zoning for that site.
Okay.
Usually within a PUD, we'll say, hey, if he wants to add something there that would have been there before he wanted to rezone it, we're fine with that because that was always the underlying zoning. Thanks for that, catching that.
I like details.
And just a historical note.
I'm going to start calling you before a meeting. And
all right, I'm a good proofreader. That's my next job.
I'm not kidding. I don't have my proofreader. Karen Scheit is like a dream. I think I put that in my last packet. I said, I don't have a proofreader. I'm doing a laptop, so I'm sorry.
On a historical note, since I was involved with that project on the design side, when it was a Kroger store and subsequently Shop and Save, they had a pylon, they had a pole there, and they actually had a rotating sign at one point in time. And Schlafly wanted to do a rotating sign, but it was not allowed by the zoning requirements. So with the PUD, you could go back, if they, at that time, if they had done a PUD at that point, they could have proposed it and see if it was approved. But obviously they have to compete with all the other microbreweries in town, and marketing yourself is a real, either that or making really good beer like Side Project. That's known all over the world. So
what's interesting is I can honestly empathize with what David is saying. I mean, there's a lot of times when my wife and I would take our kids out, we'd like to sit outside somewhere, and sometimes it's kind of nice to have something for them to do, not necessarily like a play area, but just something for them to do. And I think he's just trying to create that a little more family-friendly atmosphere. So,
well, I think non-alcoholic beer would be the solution there.
Yeah.
But anyway, are there other questions with regards to this particular PUD? Okay. In that case, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Second reading, please.
6140, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maplewood, Missouri, authorizing a plan unit development district and approving a preliminary development plan and a final development plan for approximately 2.47 acres of land at 7260 Southwest Avenue.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion will move on to its third and final reading at the next meeting. Item number 12 is a discussion of the 2021 Community Development Block Grant Funds. Who would like to start the discussion?
Well, I just want to make sure, um, you know, I'd like to get this resolution on the next council meeting. I think, I don't want to presume, but I believe the council was okay with the utility assistance and the rest in the home improvement. But it was kind of left open. So I just wanted to make sure before I put that resolution together, if anyone has any questions or wants to bring up other items, it's really whatever the council wants.
I wanted to bring up something. So the St. Louis, and I'm trying to send an email to you all now, and I'm sorry I didn't send it earlier. St. Louis County Department of Human Services has put out a quick guide to the CDBG funds that are eligible to support the infectious disease response. Do you have that, Anthony?
I've seen, I don't believe that's going to be for these funds. I'd have to look at that. These funds probably won't be eligible for another nearly 2 years. I think they're going to distribute money, and maybe I'm wrong, and Mr. Hessel might be able to correct me on this, and I wish Karen Bilber was here because we have been looking at that. My understanding is if the federal government's trying to disperse relief funds for that, they may try to do so through the block grant process, but I don't believe it's the same thing as this. Does that sound accurate to you, Mr. Hessel?
That's my understanding.
That's the impression that I got also, is that it would be a separate CBDG process.
So that's releasing additional funds through a different process.
That's my understanding of what they're talking about doing.
I thought when we had discussed it last time, we had talked about possibly trying to see if anybody knows of any other sort of mortgage or rental assistant thing we might be able to use for it. I don't know if anyone.
I've got Tiffany looking into that. I don't have an answer yet.
Yeah, I'm still
We need to call the
interested in
city,
that.
as opposed to just the heat up St. Louis is what you're, yeah, we're going to look into that.
Okay.
I don't know, but if it is, then we would obviously want to use it for whatever we can. The issue is the cap on that particular line item is $10,000. So,
no matter what thing you use it for.
yeah, so we couldn't add
All
to
right.
it even if we
All
wanted.
right. All right. Well then, yeah, then I'm good moving forward.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Otherwise, we'll give the same direction that we did last time to the acting city manager to move forward with that. Item number 13 is the second public forum. And so of those people that have been watching, they have another opportunity to address any of the issues that we've discussed here. And
I started with Carla. I'm hitting unmute. Carla might have put herself on mute. Carla? Yeah, as I tell you, hit unmute, it keeps going. I'll try one more time. Unmute. Yeah, I think she wanted to be on.
Okay. I'm good, you guys.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
If you guys don't answer, I'll just assume you're good. I'm going to go to.
I mean, don't we still have the Q&A box, and we also have doesn't the raise hand function work for?
Yeah, they can raise their hand.
Yes.
No one has though.
okay. But
I've
then
got
we don't.
I'm going to see if Dessa has anything. Oh, you're saying go ahead and have them do that, Eleanor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to put people on the spot by calling on every single one.
I agree. Sorry about that.
They may not come back.
Yes, I apologize.
As
All
our
right.
meetings go viral and, we have all those millions of viewers,
Yeah.
then it's going to be cumbersome.
That's a
So,
great suggestion, Councilmember Pardini. All right, does anyone have anything? Please raise your hand. I can tell you if I see it. Sean can. All right. I show nothing.
Okay. And for those who don't know, on your Zoom screen, I'm assuming that there's I haven't raised my hand before. Eleanor, can you explain? How do you do that?
attendees have the option under what they're looking at. If they
Uh-huh.
just click on
Oh.
their name, they can click on raise their hand.
But
Got it.
also,
Okay.
I had to raise my hand last time to get a word in. And panelists also have the ability to, if you click on panelists, Barry, you get the window pop up on the right, and then you have the raise hand function.
You mean participants or panelists?
Well, either one.
Go to panelists.
I'm raising my hand right now.
Okay, I see.
I see it.
It's very easy to do, and attendees have that option as well.
Yeah, I just raised my hand too.
And then Carla just said on mobile app, you have to tap the screen to bring up the menu.
Right.
Member
Right.
Pardini already said thank you. Now, Councilmember Buckingham and I have been making comments about Councilmember Hessel, but we've been doing those privately. City Attorney Hessel, but we did those privately.
Yeah, and I'm using an iPad because I couldn't get a webcam to save my life. So
You thought they were private, Anthony, but
I know. So much for any legal advice.
I was going to bring that up, that any chats, whether they're private or public, any chats are automatically saved.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
When you do it. So
Yep.
that has burned quite a few people. What I am
Okay.
hearing out in IT land.
I have a tough enough time just getting this thing going. I'm not going to be chatting if I don't have to. But the raise hand, Eleanor, that's a great idea. Not to put people on the spot. I'll start doing it that way.
okay, we've sort of moved into the territory of council communications here. So item 14 is council communication. Are there any communications from the council members? No? Okay. Mayor's report. There's nothing new to report. Everyone just needs to act in a safe and prudent manner. And hopefully the city of Maplewood will be passed over in this particular season. So city attorney's report.
I have nothing to report, Mayor.
City manager report.
Nothing except just to let everybody know, kind of keep in mind about the pool. A lot of municipalities, I was on a conference call today with about 15 other city administrators. People are talking about postponing the opening of the pool and when to do so, and just kind of think about that as we go, because that may be coming up in the future. Obviously, if we have to postpone it, that's fine. I've had several other my colleagues say it's not worth opening it up in July if I need to. I kind of, I think if we can open it up for some of the year, I think we do. And the county's requiring us to essentially run the systems anyway. So if we're gonna have to get the pool prepped for a short period of time, it's something you guys want to maybe consider. What's the latest you would go and still keep the pool? But I anticipate that question is going to be coming. That, and then I just wanted to know if the council wants to have the next budget work session at 6 p.m. on the 28th again. Does that sound okay?
That's fine with me.
All right, I see a lot of positives, so we'll do the same thing. That's all I have.
Okay. At this point, Mr. Hessel, we're talking about having a closed session. So because of the technology involved, we just close out the meeting. We adjourn here.
You should first make a motion to go into closed session and then vote on that motion during this open session. And then I'm going to have to turn it over to Sean and Anthony as to what the process is for closing out this meeting and then going to the next. But
Okay.
clearly the motion to go into closed session needs to occur at this meeting.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to hold a closed session to discuss contractual matter, I believe. Is that correct, Mayor?
Personnel, yeah.
Personnel.
Personnel matter.
Second.
That was a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So the next step here
I will
is,
end the meeting, and then I will open up the next meeting. All of you should have another invite for that as well.
okay,
We need to close. We should close this meeting
Right. Motion.
first before you stop recording, Anthony, and then we'll go to the new Zoom meeting.
Now, Sean, I do have one question.
Yeah.
From a technology standpoint, usually when I close this meeting, it starts recording automatically. It starts saving.
Yeah.
Still open the other meeting?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay.
Try it. We'll get all fired up there and see what happens.
Worst case scenario, if you want to open it, and then I'll log in if I have to.
All right. Well, shoot me a text if it's for some reason you can't. Shoot me a text and then I'll fire up the meeting.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So just to clarify, we have a link here. I'd have to go back to my email.
Yes, it's in your email.
Okay.
And,
You resent them all, so it's the top one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do we
All right.
actually need a motion to
Can I say
adjourn
thank
then?
you
Or is
to all our citizens who attended
Yes.
for coming?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Sandy had a good question, City Attorney Hessel. Do we need to have a motion to close the meeting, a motion and a second to actually close the meeting?
Close this meeting, yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
second?
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. And we'll reconvene for the closed session.
All right, I'm ending the meeting. We'll see everybody later. I'll talk to
All
you.
righty.